Decisions for a healthy dog. Dogs have been a part of human culture for 20 to 40,000 years. We would give them scraps of food, which brought them closer to our camps. They eventually integrated themselves into our tribes, and we would use them for hunting. The early dogs looked like their wild wolf counterparts. Today we have hundreds of dog varieties for different purposes. So, how do we have a healthy diet for the dog? Well, today we have 95% of the food is gone through the extrusion process, which basically turns the food into kibble. It also causes significant damage to those ingredients. The extrusion process involves heating the food to extremely high temperatures, which significantly diminishes the nutritional value, kind of similar to pasteurization. This process is known to significantly alter the proteins, lipids, and the vitamins. The best diet for the pets is homemade and raw. This allows you to know what's exactly in the food. You also can cook it, but this kind of diminishes enzyme content as well. So let's talk about spaying and neutering. Now, the main argument for this is that it's good for pet overpopulation. Look, on average, female dogs come into heat twice a year, and it's for an average of 10 to 14 days. Within that heat cycle, she's viable for 3 days. This means a female dog can only get pregnant about 1 week out of the whole year. So this is not a very good argument. We know that neutering increases the rate of obesity. A study done in the Journal of Veterinary Medicine showed that neutered male dogs had a significant increased rate of obesity. This could potentially be because testosterone is a very important fat-burning hormone. Another study done in PLOS 1, Republic Library of Science 1, showed that golden retrievers who undergone this procedure had a myriad of joint disorders compared to the ones who didn't. There's actually a plethora of research showing that these procedures actually can make dogs more aggressive. This is because we're not feeling balanced within, like the most important hormones in our bodies are significantly diminished. And when we don't feel imbalanced, then we act more out of fear. So when you're stable, you're able to be strong in situations, be more calm. Another one in the frontiers of veterinary medicine showed that it increases urinary tract infections and incontinence. Why am I saying all this? Because we just go through these procedures without asking any questions. We don't actually see there's a potential downside to cutting off part of our body. That's quite unfortunate. The reality is it has significant health effects. And that should not be surprising. Like, we don't expect us to cut off power source to our body and not have any health effects. So why do we think that for pets? Look, these sex hormones are not just for reproducing. They're for cognitive function, musculoskeletal health, cardiovascular health, immunity. Like, everything in the body is connected. You can't just do one thing without affecting everything else. So keep that in mind. So unless your dog is running around with intact dogs all the time, like, I really don't recommend doing this. We tend to do things out of ritual, not because it's helpful. Look, if you've listened to this podcast for any period of time, you may think I am the author of the Rebel's Handbook. But in reality, I just want to instill freedom within the hearts and the minds of the people. I want us to ask questions and get to the truth. Because when we operate at a cookie set of rules, we tend to get average results. We do what's convenient instead of what's real. We follow a system rather than educating. Fuck the system. Fuck the rules. What is real? That's the question. Because freedom, as I say, doesn't operate out of rules, but instead relies on foundational principles. And when we do that, then we have the ability to look within, to take the necessary actions we need to take to get the results in our own lives. We're often dealing with problems that are caused by mediocre thinking, which leads us to take mediocre action. Those results are just kind of lingering without even knowing. That all being said, it's better to do a vasectomy or a ovary sparing spay. So if you do decide, that would be better because they're still keeping their bodies intact mostly. It's still not ideal. You'll still have side effects, but it is much better. So with these procedures, the dogs can't reproduce either. So there's some research that shows that spaying and neutering can help with behavior change, but most of this is not positive. At the end of the day, we have to do our own research and make our own decisions. Let's talk about chipping, which is a microchip with a glass vial that contains a radio transmitter, antenna, and a 10-digit code. For it to work, it has to be picked up by a scanner. It's not a GPS system, which means that you will be able to tell where they are from a computer. It is injected between the shoulder blades of the pet with a painful 12-inch needle. Most times it will stay in place, but sometimes it will migrate in different places of the body and potentially out of the body. There are different types of chips that are registered. Most vets and humane societies do not have universal scanners. There is some research showing that tumors have formed in the site of injection. This makes sense because they emit radiation. So it's important to identify risks and make your own decision. The thing is that when we leave anything in the body, a foreign object, like the immune system has to react to it. Like, we're not designed to have like these chips and things like that. So let's talk about jabbing. Now, most dogs are given a plethora of jabs within the first 3 months of being alive. One jab is enough to actually protect the pet for life. But again, annual jabs were not based on any type of research, but mainly a guess. This came to be in the 1970s, where the tests were only done for like 2 weeks to a couple months, and never really assessed long-term immunity because these tests were quite expensive. So why do pet owners overjab their pets? It's basically because a lack of awareness. Many pet facilities don't accept that, and many pet owners lack a awareness for healthy alternatives. These jabs also contain toxic substances that build up over time. Look, so many pets have diseases these days. Like, it's astronomical compared to what it was just a few decades ago. Something we're doing is not working. The average norms do not work. If something is not working, we have to have the audacity to evaluate and make the necessary changes that need to take place. 60% of Americans have at least one chronic disease. We're the most diseased culture in the history of humanity. Average does not work. Fuck the rules. We have to do what is real. I'm a big proponent of results. If we're not getting results, then we need to look at our actions. I recommend seeing a holistic vet, which basically gets to the root cause of disease and actually uses lifestyle to heal. Like, our pets are not designed to be sick. They have an immune system that, when going under the proper epigenetic controls or lifestyle, actually has the ability to be healthy on its own. Like, when we expose our pets to the same practices that we do in our own lives, like, this is the reason why both of us get sick. We kind of live the same domesticated lives, and our genes are not designed for that. We're designed to be free and healthy, and certain actions are required.